historians! Today, Captain Mia is enjoying a beautiful day sailing on the ocean. The sun is shining and the sea is calm. Suddenly, dark clouds start forming in the distance. Uh-oh, a storm is rolling in. Mia, hold on! Head for the lighthouse! Mia's situation is similar to an economic crisis. Prior to the storm, the sea, like the economy, is balanced and stable, but in the distance, dark clouds appear. These could be an unsustainable rise in prices, high unemployment, or political tensions. When the storm hits, it forces everyone to batten down the hatches and focus on survival rather than growth. Ships, like businesses, can either sink or sail through the crisis. Just as sailors look to lighthouses for safety during a storm, businesses and individuals look to governments for rescue during an economic crisis. Today, we will board our own ship and sail through 3 eras in American history in which the government intervened to calm the storms of economic crises. Our lesson essential question is, how and when has the U.S. government intervened in the economy to prevent or respond to economic crises? Our guiding questions are, why did Congress pass the Tariff Act of 1789? How did the government respond to economic crises in the South following the Civil War? And how did the Great Depression change the relationship between the federal government and the economy in the 1930s? So let's hop on our ships and brace these storms. All aboard! We're docking at our first port in 1789. We step off the boat into a brand new nation, the United States. The sounds of gunshots from the Revolutionary War have faded, replaced by the thunder of an economic crisis. The ink on the Constitution has barely dried, and the nation is already facing a significant financial challenge. The American Revolution was costly, flooding this new nation with debt. The Continental Congress accepted loans from France during the war, and now they need to be repaid. Prior to the Revolution, America's economy thrived because of cash crops sent to Europe to support British industries. In order to compete with foreign manufacturing, the United States needs to industrialize. The new government is facing a storm. They need to find a way to raise funds, pay debts, and stimulate domestic industries. Their challenge? Crafting a policy that can help the American economy weather this storm and determine the future of the country. How will they calm the waters? Pause the video and head to your PDF to predict how the government will respond. Their solution was the Tariff Act of 1789. A tariff is a tax on goods or services imported from another country or region. This was the lifeboat that prevented the American economy from sinking before it could even set sail. The tariff created income for the federal government, helping resolve Revolutionary War debts. It also made imported goods more expensive. This encouraged the growth of industries by making American goods more attractive to consumers, thus reducing competition from foreign goods. Phew, we sailed right through that storm. Pause the video here and head to your PDF to answer our first guiding question. Why did the first Congress pass the Tariff Act of 1789? Our next stop is 1865 in the American South. As we step off the boat, we notice the lingering scent of gunpowder in the air. The Civil War has just ended. Buildings and infrastructure are destroyed, farmlands laid bare, and cities are in ruins. Formerly enslaved people who had recently gained freedom search for new beginnings, while plantation owners sink under the tidal wave of economic disruption. The Southern economy was completely reliant on slavery, but now they need to rebuild the economy without relying on free labor. There is an urgent need for food, shelter, jobs, and rebuilding. Southern leaders looked to the victorious Union government as a lighthouse to guide them out of this storm. The cannons have fallen silent, but there is a question in their echo. How do we recover from this economic crisis? Pause the video and head to your PDF to predict how the government will respond. During the Reconstruction era, from 1865 to 1877, the government intervened to guide the Southern economy to calm waters. When the 13th Amendment abolished slavery, the South had to find a way to keep its agricultural economy afloat without free labor. Sharecropping, a system where landowners allowed formerly enslaved people to use their land in return for a share of the crops produced on it, became a solution. However, landowners still controlled everything, and sharecroppers found themselves still in debt to them as if slavery had never ended. To resolve this crisis, the government established the Freedmen's Bureau in 1865. This temporary federal agency provided support to formerly enslaved people, such as food, housing, schooling, legal assistance, and medical aid. This gave them a chance to escape sharecropping and find economic independence. Next, the Southern Homestead Act of 1866 aimed to encourage development by offering public land in the southern states for low prices. Freedmen and landless Southerners could purchase land and become independent farmers, contributing to economic growth. Also, the government pushed for industry to supplement agriculture in the South. New factories were built, adding diversity to the economy and providing job opportunities. Lastly, the government rebuilt Southern infrastructure, specifically railroads. This improved transportation and trade, stabilizing the economy. Okay, Mia, we survived another storm. Pause the video here and head to your PDF to answer our second guiding question. How did the United States government respond to economic crises in the South following the Civil War? We've arrived at our final destination, the 1930s. The Roaring Twenties, a period of economic prosperity, has ended. Radios crackle in the background of homes, bringing updates on the state of the nation. But instead of upbeat jazz tunes that once filled the airwaves, the news is now dominated by reports of unemployment. Welcome to the longest-lasting economic storm in American history, the Great Depression. It all started in 1929, when the stock market crashed. Throughout the 20s, Americans were optimistic about the economy and invested in the stock market. This high demand caused stock prices to rise. But people began to realize that the high stock prices would not last. Optimism turned to pessimism, and everyone began selling their stocks. Because of the panic, stock prices drastically fell. Many people lost the money that they had invested and faced economic distress. Across the nation, banks began to fail one after another like a fleet of sinking ships. Businesses shut their doors, leaving millions without jobs. By 1933, a quarter of Americans were unemployed. Desperate families were forced to leave their homes. Farmers, already struggling from years of drought, saw crop prices fall to detrimental levels. Americans were desperate for government assistance to help them stay afloat. Pause the video and head to your PDF to predict how the government will respond. In 1933, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was elected President of the United States, becoming the captain of the lifeboat that rescued the nation from this crisis. His plan, called the New Deal, was a set of government programs and policies aimed at providing relief, recovery, and reform. The relief part of the plan included programs to help unemployment, like the Civilian Conservation Corps, which created jobs by funding public works projects. Recovery included efforts to stabilize the banking system and provide loans to aid businesses. Reform was aimed at preventing future economic disasters. This included regulation on banks and the stock market, as well as the creation of programs like Social Security, which provides income for the elderly and disabled. The New Deal changed the relationship between the federal government and the economy. Prior to the Depression, the government only interfered during a crisis. However, the Depression showed that consistent regulation was necessary. Instead of standing by and letting the economy sail with no guidance, Roosevelt established a new navigation system that would help steer the economy around a crisis rather than having to rescue it when the storm hits. Pause the video here and head to your PDF to answer our third guiding question. How did the Great Depression change the relationship between the federal government and the economy in the 1930s? Welcome back, Mia. That was quite a journey. We've braced some dangerous storms head-on and our boat is still sailing smoothly. Throughout history, Americans have weathered countless financial crises, big and small, in which the government has intervened to help keep America's economy above water. In the PDF, you will dive deeper into more of these crises and consider how you might respond as a government leader. We'll see you in the next lesson, historians. In the meantime, pull up your anchors, release your sails, and keep making history.
Hey, hey.